Are we ready to start? I'd like to call order the regular city council meeting of April 7, 2025 at 6 o'clock p.m. Madam Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Yes, Mayor, we do.
Next, please.
Item 2, invocation given by Daniel Ledford with Calvary Baptist Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the American and Texas flags.
Welcome. Please rise.
Let's pray together. Father, we thank you so much that we live in America. We thank you that we live in a place where we have the freedom to disagree and, Lord, to work things out. God, I thank you for that. I thank you that you loved us and died for us and made a way for us. Thank you for this time of the year that we get to celebrate that. Lord, I pray you'll help each council member as they do their jobs tonight, and the people that may speak, the people that will be honored tonight. I pray that you would be honored and glorified in everything this time. Help us to do all things decently and in order. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. All right, next, please.
Next is Agenda Item 3A, recognize Javier Gonzalez for achieving Class C Level 2 wastewater certification/license.
All right, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Good evening.
Just wanted to introduce Javier again. He has been here before for some recognition, but let me tell you, he joined our group in 2022, August of 2022. Since that time, he's got his water distribution license, Class C. He's become the Employee of the Year in 2023. He's a crew leader for the department, so that's a big step. And with some transition, he's actually been a crew leader over the water and the wastewater side. And now he has been able to get his Class 2 wastewater collections operation license. So really expect big things for him in the future. Love having him as an employee. You can see from the turnout in the back corner, everybody's excited for him getting this opportunity, and love working with him. So great recognition for him this evening. If they like, yes.
Would y'all like to do one? Sure. We'll have you stand right back here. All right, 1, 2, 3. No, you're good. Okay, thank you.
And the audience leaves. Next, please.
Okay. Next is Agenda Item 3B, Earth Day Proclamation.
All right, the good stuff. The second good stuff, actually. Whereas Earth Day is commemorated annually on April 22nd as a reminder of our collective responsibility to protect, preserve the natural beauty and health of our environment. And whereas April 22nd, 2025 is the 55th anniversary of Earth Day, and the theme for Earth Day 2025 is Our Power, Our Planet. And whereas many dedicated residents have selflessly volunteered their time and effort to pick up trash and litter, helping to keep our streets, parks, and natural spaces clean and free from debris. And whereas these acts of stewardship not only improve the quality of our community, but contribute to the well-being of our environment, wildlife, and future generations. Whereas the City of Fate celebrates Sport Earth Day by hosting its annual Keep Fate Beautiful community-wide cleanup event on Saturday, April 26th, to bring people together to enhance the community environment. Now, therefore, I David Billings and Mayor Fate ETJ on behalf of the City Council do gladly proclaim the 22nd of April 2025 as Earth Day. In the City of Fate ETJ, to invite and encourage our community to use this day to celebrate Earth and to commit creating a cleaner and healthier environment for better quality of life for current and future generations. So thank you. Next, please.
Next is Agenda Item 3C, Quarterly Report on Public Communications.
That would be a Shelby.
Hello and good evening. Just a second to pull this up. Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Shelby Stouffer. I'm the Public Engagement Coordinator, and I'm here to give you a quick communications update for basically January of this year to current. Some of the items we use when telling our story, I kind of developed some guiding principles. We tell our story, we utilize a centralized approach, we build relationships with the community, and we focus on proactive versus reactive communications. Just kind of jumping off, how do we tell our story? We leverage a few elements, including our website, social media, resident apps, a newsletter that we recently rolled out, as well as a new texting service. Website. Who's excited about our new website? Thank you. One person. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shelby. Appreciate all your work.
This was really, I just want to touch on the website for a moment because this was really a team approach that we did here. So every 4 years, we're due for a creative design update on our website, and this year we took it a couple steps further. We implemented a broken link audit, okay, that's not me, that was a vehicle. Sorry, I thought that was like echo the whole time, I'm so sorry. So we did a broken link audit because we had several broken links on our website. We focused on ADA and accessibility on our website and enhanced that for all visitors to the site. We did a navigation overhaul, so we went into some optimized navigation, enhancing the user experience for our visitors. And we really just kind of took that look and feel a bit further, and we changed out the kind of front landing page of the site, as well as some of the feeder pages too, based on like our search history, our popular pages, and the most frequently visited pages on our site. So it was kind of just a full approach overhaul. We worked with all of the departments to make sure all their information was updated prior to the launch. So all their forms, all their contact information, their information on their pages was all updated. So it's not just a new look and feel, it's really just kind of a collaborative approach to information for our community by the departments here. So a huge kudos to them as well. Some quick metrics. So we're still tracking this quarter as we have been with about 4 minutes on our site per visit. It's still split about 50-50 with desktop versus mobile, so folks are still using the desktop to find information quite a bit. And then again, just our top 3 searched pages are our homepage. We did see a little bit of a spike in that in March, and that was, I think, due to just rolling out the new website and pushing people there a little bit more. The supporting pages are utilities and water, as well as make a payment. So kind of kicking back to the website for just a second, one of the features that we included in our redesign this year was the services portal. So this is really an area for our residents, our businesses, and any visitors that are wanting to do business with us to visit. I heard some comments at one of the last meetings that it would be nice if we had this hub where folks could find payments easily, applications easily, things like that. Well, guess what? We did that. So as you visit our website, we created and built out a hub that focuses specifically on applications from every department. So the first highlighted box at the top is going to break it down by department, and those are going to be your direct applications or resources that you need to do business with us as a visitor, as a resident, or as a business. The second is doing business with us, and that's our economic development hub. So it's also on our main page. I do want to reiterate that, but it's just a quicker access point for folks wanting to do business with the city of Fate. The last place is our payments portal. So unfortunately, I know there was some discussion of like, it would be nice if we could get all of our payments under one portal. I'm not IT, I can't do that, but I can at least consolidate those to one area where it's easily accessible to the visitor of the site. Additionally, just jumping off of those most visited pages, we highlighted those again through our graphic links and through our quick links on the site. So again, utility services, trash services, permits, reporting an issue, rentals, public safety, rental registration, and passport services. So here we also focused on our revenue generating services as well and kind of brought those out to the front of our site. Just some quick social media metrics. The biggest were actually a hiring campaign we did back in the beginning of March, as well as some traffic updates with TxDOT. So not a lot in the world of social, but those were actually very high performing posts that we had this past quarter, so I wanted to call those out. For DPS, it was the crime alert post that they had a few weeks ago, just kind of updating residents on some stuff, ways to be vigilant, and just a quick recap of what was sort of happening in the community. So again, just some of our top performing posts. Our monthly newsletter. So one of the things I wanted to touch on the newsletter is we rolled this out in October of last year. So we've gone about just about half a month with it, and we continue to see increases in our open rates and our click rates, as well as just people starting to find it on their own as well. We've pushed it out very minimally on social, but we do have an area on our website where residents can visit and sign up automatically to receive it monthly. So just something to note here, the industry standard for civic newsletters is anywhere between 30 to 40% open rate. We're currently tracking at about a 66, 67%. So in my opinion, I think that's fabulous. Additionally, for civic-based newsletters, it's typically a 3 to 5% click rate, and we're right on par with that as well. This is our April newsletter, and I did just want to showcase kind of our heat map of where folks are clicking. So we had a lot of interest in our bulk trash pickup and our community cleanup, which are some events coming up this month, as well as if you look at the bottom of the second, nearly 80 clicks through to our capital improvements projects. So that is kind of one of our little hubs we have for information on ongoing city projects. So just some information that I thought was interesting that I wanted to share. So again, just talking about kind of those open rates and click-through rates. These two numbers here on the right are actually focus campaigns we did. So it's not our monthly newsletter, but these are our SC tracking notices, the changes to some of our utility accounting, the Black land closure, downtown stakeholder meetings. So these are kind of identified here by the little bubbles at the bottom, so you can kind of track. It's broken up, so imagine it would be longer. But I want to call this out too because, again, back to those open rates, we're up to 84% on some of these campaigns. So a very interesting thing to note is we can put something out on social and it may or may not trend well, but by leveraging our newsletter and specific groups of people, whether it's neighborhoods, areas of town, business groups, community groups, things like that, we can really target and hone in on messages to them while also being able to track that that specific audience is receiving that message. So just something I wanted to kind of share with you guys as well that I feel like is a success from my area. Podium text solutions. So we've talked a little bit about Podium, and through our web chat is where we're really getting a lot of traction. So then the information box at the top was last quarter's metrics and numbers. At the bottom is this quarter's metrics and numbers, excuse me. So you can see the increase, right? So most people are coming in through our web chat. We've had about 409 unique conversations come in that way in the last quarter, where prior to that we had 5. So some of our other numbers are doubling or staying the same. The web chat feature on our website is going crazy. And that's fabulous because we are now able to meet our residents' needs that way versus them sitting on the phone tree or going through the phone tree or sitting on hold trying to get a hold of somebody. And Omar is working diligently to actually roll out an AI feature with Podium that will help streamline some of our questions that we're getting through the text service, as well as help reduce some of response times with that. Currently, if we're not in the office, we're not necessarily always seeing those. So anything in the evenings, anything over the weekends, there's a bit of a delay. By rolling out this AI feature, it'll help kind of streamline and mitigate some of that delayed response. Event marketing, so just some things coming up. Next week, next Saturday, is the Hoppin' Into Easter event downtown. Early voting is beginning. We recently had the used tire drop-off back in March, and then coming up is our bulk trash drop-off, as well as the Keep Fate Beautiful City cleanup. One thing to note with our bulk trash drop-off, new this year, is we are going to accept used tires again. So everything that qualified for the used tire drop-off will be able to qualify for the bulk trash drop-off as well. So we'll be pushing that message out as we get closer. Proactive communication. So how we leverage proactive communications is through our Capital Improvement Projects Hub. We work with Public Works, Community Services, and the City Manager's Office to make sure that all of our projects that are ongoing are updated relatively quickly. And we're pushing those updates out regularly through social, through our newsletter, things like that. We're using social media kind of to push out construction messages, as well as our newsletter. We do press releases and work with our media partners for information. And then, as I mentioned, we talk about e-blast to impacted parties. So one case study I did just want to call out, again, back to leveraging social media versus our newsletter. The construction for Blackland Facebook post got about 45,000 views overall, but to our targeted audience, which was really only about 324 people, got almost an 80% open rate. So again, it's directing that communication or that message to the right group of people and making sure they're getting it. Additionally, with the newsletter, we're able to put a lot more information into it compared to what we can do in a social media post. So just different ways we're talking to people. What's coming up on the horizon? We have a couple of fun things. So our NCS survey is coming up. Traditionally, we have done this time of the year, but we felt that in the past, we've kind of seen some friction with the dates. People are out of town. There's a lot going on in the community, things like that. So we're taking a proactive approach, and we're actually pushing it back a little bit. So the survey will conduct August to September. So as families are kind of coming back from summer, getting back into school, settling into their normal routines, we anticipate conducting it then with a presentation on the results October-November timeline. Our Citizens Academy. I'm personally very invested in this. Anybody who's talked to me probably knows that. This is a way that we can just kind of reach out a little bit further into our community and engage and inform our residents, our business partners, and our community of city operations and what's going on. We, one of my goals is to really educate a little bit more of the community of city policies, the budgeting process, and the why behind what we do. So this is a great way to do that. It is something I've been working on developing for a little while and look forward to rolling out in the new fiscal year. I'm happy to answer any questions about it if you have any, but be on the lookout for more information to come. And then with that, do you have any questions for me?
Lance, any questions?
Oops, no questions, but I think you really picked up the pace, and it's what you're doing seems like it's being very effective. So thank you for that.
Alan?
Yes, thank you for the increased engagement. We can really see the difference. Appreciate it.
Scott, you good?
I do. Hopefully you're able to answer this for me. I'm not sure. So I had a constituent reach out to me who had moved and they were trying to cancel their utility service. Is that a feature that is available on the website now? Before, I know they had a really hard time being able to do that, and when they called, they didn't get an answer immediately, and then reached out to me, and they found out they had to go in to cancel. So I just wanted to see if there was a feature on the website now to where people can get new service and cancel their utilities.
So what I can speak to is the content on the website. And we do have areas where they can start a new service and cancel service. But I do believe they have to fill out forms and submit those through the utility department, and I
Okay.
would not be able to speak on their process.
Okay.
Michael?
Okay.
You-
Yeah, I'm looking down, Raju's on training, but Teresa, folks can they cancel remotely? Can they cancel their service? There's a form they can send in. Yeah, they still have to come in.
Teresa, could you come to the podium so the folks at home will hear the answer, please?
Thank you.
I believe not, but they can reach the utility building department by email and let them know that they intend to cancel services, and they can start the process that way.
Okay, so if they email them and submit the forms, is that good enough, or they still have to come physically into the office?
I believe not, and I would have to double check that with Aaron.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Shelby, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next, please.
Next will be Agenda Item 3D, Quarter 1, 2025 Economic Development Update.
Welcome, and nice suit and everything.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Matt Wavering. I'm the Director of Economic Development for the City of Fate. Been on the job all of 4 months, and if you've been paying attention, we just wrapped up the first quarter calendar year 2025, and as promised to y'all and to the MDD Board of Directors, I'll be making a quarterly update on economic development in the City of Fate. So first I'll just start by talking about what our department does holistically. This is the elevator pitch, if you will. Our job is to improve the economic vitality of the City of Fate and its residents. And we do that by being inside and outside sales for the City of Fate. We help our existing businesses to thrive and to expand, and then we attract new businesses to Fate. We act as the liaison between business and city staff to help get projects moving forward and assist in that process. So this saying, you've heard me say a few times, many of you have, masterpieces take time. When I was brand new in commercial real estate as a brand new broker, I used to get very excited about new projects that I heard, and I would ask my mentor, well, hey, when's that thing happening? When's that opening? And he would say, Matthew, masterpieces take time. And it was his way of telling me to cool my jets. It was going to take a while because the project cycle is pretty long. It takes time to make a deal, get the attorneys happy, get the developers going, get the permits and everything, and make a project happen. So I'm telling you that to say that what you're about to see in this presentation, I won't take a whole lot of credit for. This is the result of years and maybe even decades of planning and decision-making and investment on the parts of multiple different parties along the way to get us to where we are today, where we can welcome new businesses to the City of Fate. So, and this right here kind of gives you a quick overview of what I'm talking about. Because we are a newer growing city and we are a developing suburb of Dallas, we have a lot of land, and because of that, it takes a lot of developers to get a project. So a lot of times I'll get the question, hey, when are we getting such and such, or when is such and such going to come to Fate, and have you talked to this particular type of business or restaurant that I would like to eat at? And the answer to that a lot of times is we don't have the place for them. We don't have the infrastructure for them. We don't have the building for them. And it takes all of these different types of developers to get there. First, you have your master land developers. These are the groups that have the land either under contract, big swaths of land. They either own it or they have it under contract, And they're the guys that come in and get the zoning and the entitlements. They make the major investment for the infrastructure and all the public utilities to make that land viable. The next step is then you bring in a sector developer. And what I mean by that is someone specific to the retail space or office or industrial. And they come in, they build a 10, 20, 30 acre development that's specific to that type of use. And what they do is they specialize in that area. So if it's a retail developer, they have the relationships. They know which companies and which retailers cooperate and work well together and which ones do not. And they bring them in and they make a cohesive project. Lastly, then you have the lot builders or the individual big box or the spec retail developers that are actually taking that lot that's ready for development and they're improving it to the point where there's a building and a tenant can occupy that building. Sometimes the master developer and the sector developer are the same. Sometimes the sector and the lot builders are the same. But you get the picture here. It takes cooperation. It takes risk from all these entities. It takes a lot of investment. And it takes a whole lot of, I sure hope this thing's going to work, and I hope the economy doesn't shift on me. And so this is why masterpieces take time. Part of my job is to work with developers at all these different levels to make sure that they understand our processes, that development is done right, it's done properly, it's done timely, and then we can attract a business to fill those in spaces at the end of the day. This is sort of, if economics is about supply and demand, this is the supply we need to feed the demand of our local residents. Without these opportunities, speculative retail development, for example, might be empty when it's built, but without that opportunity to capture the timing of that particular business that's ready to sign a lease, it doesn't happen. Passes us up, goes to somebody else, we miss out on those opportunities. So I'm going to summarize all of the commercial projects that are happening throughout Fate, but this information is available to everybody. And I wanted to make it very easy to find because I heard some comments that, hey, where do I find this stuff out? Do I have to call Matt every time I want to find out about a project? The answer is no. FateTX.gov is the website that Shelby has worked on and all of us put input on. I made it really easy. This particular page that you're seeing in front of you is on the Planning and Development Department. So you can navigate to that department and find the maps and plans and reports page right here. And I've circled this active projects map for you. If you don't like 2 extra steps, you can download my presentation, which I'll show you how to do very, very easily at the end of this. Click that link and it takes you right to this page. When you click that active projects map, it brings up a page that looks something like this. Our planning department, when a project starts to happen, updates this page and puts an icon on there. So let's say you have a question, hey, what's at the corner of 66 and Ben Payne? What's being built there? Well, there's a little icon on your screen. You navigate to that, you click that button, and boom, there it is. It's 7-Eleven. What is that? A gas station and convenience store. What's the status? It's under construction. Boom, there it is. So I'm not a genius here. All this information is available. What I've done in this presentation, though, is giving you a little bit more detail. Because the next question is, okay, under construction, how long is that going to take? When's that thing going to be open, right? So I've given a little bit more educated guess to this because I have a lot of colleagues over here that work on these projects on a day-to-day basis, whether it's the planning side or the engineering side or it's the building department side, and I've spoken to all of them and provided this information for you in this report. This report today for the first quarter, and again, I'm just really focusing on the first quarter of 2025, this includes 38 new commercial developments and businesses that are in various stages of development. Now, obviously, these didn't all start in the first quarter. A lot of these were already happening, but that's, if you've ever heard somebody say there's nothing going on in Fate, I beg to differ. There's an awful lot going on in Fate right now. This represents over 365,000 square feet of new commercial development. An estimated $42 million of new building value will hit the tax rolls in the next 6 months. That's just between now and the end of our fiscal year, which is the end of September 30th. That's a lot of additional tax value that the business community is paying to help keep our taxes low, the rooftops, right? So residential rooftops, it compresses the amount of pressure that's on each individual homeowner in Fate because we're bringing in business and commercial developments. I've broken this down by a sector, by corridor. A lot of real estate people like to do this. This first page here is the State Highway 66 corridor. So if you start on the west side of Fate on 66, and you drive through the whole thing, you'll hit this entire list, and you can follow that on that active projects list. But I just want to point out to you what I've done on this page and what I've done on the other corridors as well, which is I've listed out to you what the status is, okay, and it's a little bit more detailed than just simply under construction. Planning review means that we've received documentation and it's going through the planning review, usually for a site plan, okay? There might be special uses involved, but that's what that means. Building review means that they've already gotten their site approval, the project can happen, but they have to they have to get a building permit. So the building department is reviewing this. If you see site work, that means that they've got to the point where they have a dirt permit and they can actually start doing some utility work and working dirt work on the site. So it's starting to materialize. There's a project here, one of 5 daycares that we have proposed in Fate. It says stalled project. What does that mean? Well, it means the developer, something has stalled on their end. It's beyond our control, but something has happened on their end. It could be financing, could be that their contractor went bankrupt. It could be a number of different issues, but that's what that means. Already mentioned planning review. Anticipated completion. So this is where I'm giving you just that next step of detail about, well, when's that thing gonna happen? This is educated guesses here, but for example, 7-Eleven, we'd expect that to be done sometime in the 4th quarter of this calendar year of 2025. Now, when I'm giving this presentation in July, I might update that further if I have more information at that time. You can then look at the other projects there. It says H2, second half, right? Second half of 2026, that's confident as we can be about that project. So I've got some other slides to show you more detail on some of these projects, but I want to point out one on this page here is the Pinnacle Montessori is the stalled project just south of here on 66. We're close to City Hall, but right next to that is a retail project that had also been stalled, but now that the developers picked that back up and is running with that. So that's back in planning review, and we do expect a project to materialize there. So that's just a speculative retail project in between the animal hospital and then the Montessori school. All right, so into some more details, I already mentioned the 7-Eleven and the shops at Wood Creek. So this is 66 and Ben Payne, the northwest corner. Next to that 7-Eleven, which you can see, that's a recent picture from about a week ago. Under construction, we expect that to be open in the 4th quarter. Next to that, to the west, is a speculative retail project. What does that mean, speculative? It means that the developer is investing in that building when they don't necessarily have the whole thing full. They don't have it spoken for. In this particular case, there is your typical, I've got a dentist, I've got a donut shop, and I've got another tenant here, Action Behavior Centers, that's signed onto that project, and you can see the vacancy available there. So they are, again, rolling the dice to get that project done to hopefully fill those other spaces. And this is that supply side that we need in order to capture some more of that neighborhood retail in this area, this Wood Creek area. What else do we have? Oh, just to the north of this is the Arca Montessori. That's a project that is not stalled, that is moving forward. And then there's a couple more out parcels or outlots next to the shops at Wood Creek. So you'll see some more things coming. Again, every update, when I learn more, y'all will learn more too. All right, traveling a little bit further east on 66, you hit Wood Creek Boulevard, and at that southeast corner, you're going to run into the Avondale Shopping Center. That is another speculative 15,000 square foot retail and restaurant development. Next to that, 11,000 square foot daycare. You guessed it, another daycare there. I get a lot of questions. Why so many daycares all at once? Good question, Mayor. The reason for that is we have a lot of people move to Fate. It's 28,000 people in the city of Fate, and that went really fast. It was a hockey stick growth over the past 5 or 6 years. When that happens, it creates demand. A lot of our individuals are commuting right now to Dallas County, to Collin County for work. We have a lot of 2-income families in Fate. When you have that, school can't take care of your kids 24/7, and so that's that sort of that buffer zone between, well, first of all, it's for the younger kids that are not quite in the school system, but then it's also for the after school, so mom and dad can work and get the kids when they get back. So that's the reason for that. I've seen the same thing happen. You see the same thing happen with like hotel development, for example. 3 hotel developers all decide, hey, it's a great place to build a hotel. They all do it at the same time. They all rush to get the thing built, and sometimes you get 3 or 4 hotels all at the same time. Same thing happens with restaurants and a number of other things, but that's part of a growing city. Okay, so moving on to one of our bigger corridors, the I-30 corridor. There's a lot of projects on here, and I've got a lot of slides to show you some of this stuff, but I want to point out a couple things on the list that I don't have slides for. Lone Star Print House is a new print house that opened up in Fate. We're excited about that because there's some local residents of Fate that moved that from another city to Fate. I know this is old news, but Chipotle is coming to Fate as well. This is down by Fate Village, down by Fresh and Fate Village, one of the outlots there. So this will be next to Salad and Go. And we'd expect that project to break ground here in the next month or so, and you'd see maybe a second quarter 2026 opening for that. Again, more details I'll give you as I learn more. We've also got Panda Express. That's already broken ground. You see a little bit of dirt work happening there. See, some of this stuff happens so quickly. I have pre-construction written on here, but then I noticed silt fence went up and they started work on that project last week. We've got a Scrubby's car wash and a Brakes Plus. There's a bunch of these all in line. So you're going to see a lot of these projects popping off here in the next couple of months. And then early 2026, you're going to see a lot of these opening up. So let me get into some of the more detail. Alamo Fireworks has been in Fate for quite some time. You can see their older building there on the right. They're improving that building with a brand new one just to the west of it. So you can see that to the left. That should be done fairly quickly. When that building's done, they will then demolish the old building and will move over their merchandise, demolish that old building. And as you can probably suspect, they want to be open by the July 4th holiday. So that's the timeline there. Infinity Marine is a boat maintenance and repair business. This is at the end of Industrial Drive. If you head down, which is a cul-de-sac, so if you head down that, it's on the South Service Road. You'll go to the dead end, and to the left, you will see the boat maintenance, which you see on the top left there, and to the right, the boat storage on the bottom right. We expect that project to be done sometime in the third quarter of this year. Volkswagen. This project's been under construction for quite some time. It's on the North Frontage Road on the west side of Fate. These are some very recent pictures. They just got their certificate of occupancy on Friday. Now it's just a matter of getting their inventory of cars in. Once there's enough V-dubs on the lot, then they will hold their grand opening, and we'll celebrate the Volkswagen of Rockwall County coming to Fate. I know you guys have heard about the Iron Ranch Business Park for quite some time. This is not a new project, but one that has had its bumps along the way. I can tell you that they had some engineering and some utility issues, and they have cleared those hurdles in terms of engineering approval and are moving forward with that project. The reason I'm excited about this is that, it could be a neat spot for some hobbyists, but more importantly, it's a great spot for flexible office, showroom, warehouse for a number of different small businesses. So we want to be business friendly and grow our own in Fate. This gives a great opportunity for companies to establish a foothold in Fate and then move on and hopefully build something larger and expand in Fate, have success here. All right, I'm going to move to the northeast quadrant of I-30 in Crawford. This is over by Specs and by Stag's Car Wash. That's Sonic and Witch in it. Just to the east, you'll see a nice bright red metal roof. That's on top of Stag's Car Wash. And then they also have a oil change facility that's also under construction next to that. And then go one more spot to the east, and you've got AutoZone. Those of you who've been here for more than a year are going to say, yeah, we know about AutoZone. Well, this is an expansion of AutoZone. They've done so well. They've only been open for a year here, but they are building a regional supercenter on that site. So the dirt work you've seen, they're pushing dirt over there. They're going to add on to that building. So it'll be much larger when it's complete. And let's see if I have a date here. Yeah, Q1 of 2026 is what we're expecting on completion there. All right, so I mentioned some of those other restaurants. Well, right in the middle of that is Whataburger. No surprise, you've heard of this one. They've got their signs up and everything, and that's a beautiful picture of a foundation. So it's, not that cool yet, but that is where you're going to see a lot of these outlots develop right in a row. So Whataburger, and then next to that's Panda Express, and next to that Scrubbies, and so on. That project, we're expecting fourth quarter, so you might be eating Whataburgers by Christmas. Fate Village Tavern, I see a handful of friendly, familiar faces there. They celebrated their grand opening and ribbon cutting, a couple of months ago, and so I think I've been there with a couple of you and seen most of you there, so I'm sure you're familiar with that one, but that is a new business that is open in Fate today. All right, moving on, beyond the I-30 corridor to the Memorial Parkway corridor, so 551 south of I-30. At the bottom of the page there, you see Light Bridge Academy, another awesome-looking foundation. I'll update these pictures as we go along, but there's one of our child care facilities that is under construction. Q4 2025 is expectation there. And then right next to that is Ashton Gray's a group that's building a shopping center. They're going to have 5,000 square feet available right now, but there's also a dental facility here. Are you guys seeing the trends, right? So people move, people have a lot of teeth. You get a lot of people here, they need a lot of dental care. Restaurants open up, they don't treat their teeth right, they need dentists. So we got a lot of our dentists, but if you don't have dentures and your teeth are holding good and firm, go get your Jimmy John's sandwich, because Jimmy John's is signed on to a space right there. So that's some announcements there. Across the street from that, next to Taco Bell, is another speculative strip center. And you see a little Pizza Hut logo on there. I heard recently that Pizza Hut may be out of this project. So I will give you an update again next quarter. Should be probably July that I give you the second quarter update. But right now it sounds like they do still plan to build the building without their anchor. They've got they have a pickup drive-through window. That's part of that site plan. Okay, last corridor is downtown Fate. It's pretty big list here. So I'm going to, again, highlight some of these, then I've got some slides to tell you about. Maverick Chiropractic is a chiropractic office on Main Street that opened up just over a year ago. They've done well. They have a couple of locations in the region, and they have expanded in that building. So I want to always highlight whenever there's a small business that comes to Fate, they invest in Fate, and then they do well, they're expanding, and we're happy to see them do that. Becca Larson Photography just announced that they're moving into the former Poppy Blossom space, just basically next door at Fate Main and Crawford. So we are meeting with her later this week to find out what her plans are, but probably not going to be any build out there. It's a photography studio. Go to a block to the east over at the Villages at Fate and the former Beer Geek space. Beer Me will be opening up. So that's considered to be like a tap house and a retail beer shop there. We expect them to be open sometime in the second quarter of this year. You've probably heard some rumors, but Domino's Pizza is taking and backfilling the former Pizza Factory space in that same building. So we had pizza, we lost pizza, pizza coming back in. This is a local franchisee that's very excited about the location, and you will actually be able to get a quick delivery from Domino's, which you previously could not do, or go pick it up, of course. You may have seen that Green Hill Family Dental, they are in the Park building, so that is adjacent to Crawford, and they are already open. I stepped in and got a quick tour and met the dentist there. They're not quite ready for a grand opening, but they are seeing patients, and so if you have those aforementioned teeth problems, go check those guys out. They are happy to be in Fate and excited to be here. You've probably seen the signs go up for Dark Ritual Coffee next door over facing Fate Station Park. They got their permit, put up a sign, but they do not have their build-out permit yet. So unfortunately, that's not coming as quickly as we might want them to, but we do expect them to get done and be open by the fourth quarter of 2025, assuming everything proceeds with their build-out. This is when it gets really bad. You got to get some oral surgery. So on the second floor of Fate Place is a Trinity Valley oral surgery. So they are wrapping up. We expect those guys to be open in Q2 2025. All right, so some of the other highlights here. Who's been to Red Dirt Social? I think all of you have, yeah. So many of you were there in that picture for the ribbon cutting. So please, if you haven't already, come on down to Red Dirt Social. It is, I said this to Mike recently. I said, when you sit down there and you get a plate, which the chef many times hand delivers, you feel like you got something special. And you feel like you're in a special place. And so go join the rush and go get down there to Red Dirt Social. You guys heard of Sauce and Vine? This is a restaurant I've been talking about for quite some time. I know they want to be done. I talked to Jeff just last week on Friday. He got a construction update. He expects to be open next month. You can see these pictures are new. I think I took these last week. The construction fences are down, and so they're getting to that next phase where they're finishing things up. The pizza oven's been delivered. They have some equipment in there. They have had some construction issues, and we had some water come through, and things weren't quite buttoned up yet. So, it's like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, and believe me, they want to open as quickly as everybody else does. Here's an announcement for you. Wings Over USA, they have maybe 7 or 8 of these operating in the region, and they're opening more. This is driven by a local gentleman. So Wings Over Fate has signed a lease in downtown Fate. That is in the first floor of Fate Place. It's about a 4,500 square foot buffalo wing-centric sports bar. So those of you familiar with came over to the ribbon cutting for the Hub at Fate Station. This is on the first floor of that building, just right across the breezeway from Red Dirt Social. And then if that's not enough sports bar for you downtown, a block and a half to the east, Iron Plow Sports Bar has started their dirt work there for a 2-story sports bar that will open right around the corner. Okay, I mentioned the hub. You can see where that's located. And then, of course, our Fate Food Hall that is on property that's owned by the Municipal Development District and operated by the City of Fate. We have a handful there. We had you all approved, along with the MDD board, a new operating agreement with It's Grub 30, which is a local food truck operated by the Browns who live here in Fate. They're super excited to open. They're so excited, in fact, that they got there, they hooked up their equipment, they turned the power on, and 3 pieces of equipment fried. So they had to pull their trailers out. They were devastated. They made the repairs. I just got a call from Fred. He said the repairs have been made. As soon as they can get back in, I don't know if you noticed, but we got a little bit of rain over the past week, so things are pretty muddy out there right now. Once they can get back in and hooked up and get their inspections, they will be up and running. So I'm excited for y'all to be able to have a chance to try food from It's Grub 30. Let's see, we mentioned this briefly at the last strategic planning meeting. We do have a promenade downtown Fate, which is part of the first phase of Fate Station Park. So this is just south of where Sauce and Vine is under construction. That promenade, and as it leads up to on the north side of Green Hill, is a perfect place that was planned on purpose for a farmer's market. So we are working to get that activated. And I actually have a RFQ. We're going to search for a manager that can help bring in the vendors that we're looking for, farm fresh produce and artisan products and cottage foods that are unique to the area, that are just Saturdays, one Saturday out of the month. We're going to try this out, see what the attendance looks like for this first year. We're going to have some growing pains as it relates to construction in the area, but over time, I envision this to be a spot where it's very, very consistent that we have farmers markets on Saturdays, we have things going on in the park, and we have a lot of opportunities for people to hang out, sort of create that cultural center that we talked about at the strategic planning for people to think, oh yeah, I'm going to downtown Fate. What's happening? I don't know. Figure it out when we get there, right? That's what we're trying to make happen. So that is coming. Okay, a little bit more details on the Hub at Fate Station. What is it? It is a city-run and operated co-working space in downtown Fate. It's on the 3rd floor of Fate Place. So this would be, below that is the dental oral surgeon, and below that is your buffalo wings. So, but this is an opportunity for small office space for local residents to get out of their home offices and establish a place of business in downtown Fate. It's also an incubator, so new businesses that are starting up, they're not quite ready, they can't afford their own building, they can't afford a big suite, they want to get moved in and operating with one rent check that they can pay every month, and it covers everything. They have high-speed internet, and they have a lot of other people there, a lot of other small business owners they can work with and network with and learn how to run their small business. So that's a quick update for you on availability. We're down to just 12 private offices. We just opened this thing up in March. Many of you were there for the ribbon cutting on the 21st. We're a month in, and we've got 9 of those private offices occupied. We have 2 dedicated workstations taken as well. And then I have 3 more applications in my email box, and I'm working through those agreements right now. And then I have a agreement out for signature on 2 more offices. So that ribbon cutting, it creates a lot of good energy and momentum, and so we got a lot of activity after that event. Okay, so next question. Matt, great, I love it. Good detail, but I want to study this a little bit more. Where can I find this information? FateTX.gov, go to our website, navigate to the Economic Development Department website. If you don't want to take that step, I put the link right there on the page so you can click it right there. Scroll down on the main economic development page, and you'll see quarterly economic development update. And then this screenshot was taken a few days ago, but you'll see a thumbnail on there of this presentation. Shelby, do we have that up? we're good. So it's already on there. You can look at that right now, and you can download the PDF. You see all the slides that I presented to you this evening, and so you can go and reference when those dates are and when the projects are happening and what the details say and all that good stuff. So I hope that's helpful for you and your constituents to be able to find information. And then, of course, I will be giving this presentation every quarter, give you updates along the way, announce new projects, and give you updates on completions. So, yeah, that's our team. So Yvonne, I think, yes, is still in the room here. It's me and Yvonne. We do a lot. We do have some management down at the hub at Fate Station. I would encourage you, I'll go up a couple more slides real quick, check out fatestationhub.com. We just refreshed the website. We have new stuff on there. Cool part about it is you can, if you have a constituent that's interested in an office space in downtown Fate, they can go and they can view everything, see what's available, and then right there on the page, they can book a private showing. And then our on-site manager, John, will meet with them, show them around, and then you can fill out an application. Boom, you're off to the races. So, all right.
That's it?
That's it.
Cody, any questions? Cody?
Yes, I do. Well, number one, I just wanted to say that I love the fact that I just mentioned that we needed some sort of way to look at the current economic projects literally last meeting, and you already figured it out. Way to go. You're all right with me, Matt.
All right.
Next, I wanted to give some feedback. So I was actually at a housewarming in Lavon, and this lady that I didn't know, she found out that I was on city council, and she was like, I just wanted to tell you how great the hub is. So apparently she's a mortgage lender, and she was at a hub that was similar out in Richardson, but she said it was very outdated, and she had nothing but great things to say about the hub and how much more affordable it was and how much more modern it was. So good job. No questions, just positive feedback.
Thanks for the feedback. I know who you're talking about. So
Good.
The agreement's ready.
Yeah, I also wanted to echo the, thanks for the updates on all the projects. We get a lot of questions about what's going where. Even with the little clickable map, it's still good to see see pictures of what's coming and kind of get the layout of where it is. And I was at the ribbon cutting for the hub as well. It was outstanding. I think it's going to be a great addition to our city. And thanks, Matt.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Scott? Alan? Mark?
I wanted to thank you for the update. This will be something, hopefully we can, people can kind of go through and kind of see what kind of development we've got. Last meeting, I got into a little trouble because I took the little map with the little dots on it and posted it to Facebook during the meeting because Cody had mentioned it. But this is really, really very good. It's very comprehensive. How would you describe the prospects of people that might be interested in bringing more businesses here? Is it looking good? Could it look better?
Cautiously optimistic.
Okay, that's a good thing.
Yeah. The momentum has not stalled, but of course, I don't know if you open a newspaper, there's a lot of talk about a number of different things, and costs rising and some economic uncertainty. But let me put it this way. If I have to be anywhere in America, I want to be in Fate, Texas right now because there's a lot of people who are saying, this national stuff, it'll all pass, but the opportunities that are available here are fantastic. I don't want to miss out on that opportunity. And so still seeing momentum. If that changes, I'll let you know.
Yeah, they're looking beyond the storm, thank goodness.
Yes, sir.
Just thank you, Matt, for everything you've been doing. A lot of this stuff has been in planning for quite a while. And it has been fortunate that you've been hired on and you've picked up the ball and ran with it. And there's a lot of stuff happening, a lot of stuff yet to come. So thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Matt, great job. So thank you for doing it. I think explaining the process is really good. There's some people who believe we just pick the phone up and we can recruit businesses, and I think you kind of explain the process. It takes a while. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a long-term strategy.
Masterpieces take time.
What's that?
Masterpieces take time.
They try to take time, so thank you for all you do. I do appreciate it. All right, next, please.
Next is Agenda Item 4, Public Comment, and I've received 2 requests to address the council, first being from Autumn Lebinsky, address 114 Vallon Drive.
Autumn Lebinsky,
Welcome.
114 Vallon Drive. That's a lot to follow, and I am so excited of all the stuff that's coming to Fate. You are an awesome presenter, so. But the reason I came here, I was recently inspired by a public comment I watched in a neighboring City Council meeting. We are in the midst of election season and full transparency always remains forefront. In the spirit of full transparency, here are some things that have been brought up about me in this chamber and on social media. I do admin a super secret group called Fate 2025. Think of it as a social experiment started that succeeded in its course. I do have a bachelor's in sociology and thought I would put it to good use. I post about the weather. So for all those naysayers out there, it's the weather we talk about. Second, I did pull a packet for City Council, but it was never my intention to run. In November, I met with some people, including a political consultant, ironically, one of our mayoral candidates, in which they tried to convince me to run. I was never going to say yes, but I needed the packet to see what type of information was given to previous candidates to find out what standards and codes they were held to, which leads me to the reason why I'm here. On February 28th, I filed a sworn complaint to the Texas Ethics Commission after my initial review provided 4 separate violations I found as part of campaign finance code, including missing signatures of reports and having a campaign expenditure without a campaign treasurer appointment on file. On March 6th, the TEC accepted jurisdiction of these complaints and began their investigation. On March 20th, I received additional correspondence stating that the complaints had been dispositioned and the information relating to the processing, preliminary review, and resolution of certain sworn complaints is confidential, or and may not be disclosed by them, but that code does not preclude the complainant or the respondent to the same confidentiality requirement. A person who has filed a sworn complaint with the commission may discuss with the press or the public the fact that he has filed a complaint and the contents of the complaint. There are also subsequent reviews ongoing that might result in future complaints. Now, in the interest of full transparency, it is not just city employees that should be held to the standard, it should also be elected officials. The citizens have demanded this from current and past candidates, and it should not stop just when you're elected. I think the quote I'm referring to is, "The citizens elected me. I am accountable to them no matter what I did." So it has been several weeks since these complaints were dispositioned. Where's the transparency? If the complaint was dismissed without recourse, it is pretty well known that we would have heard about it. This has been proven over and over again, but we are all still waiting a public website statement as stated on January 27th. If there was action taken, be accountable. If you have something to say it in front of the citizens. Transparency is not one-sided, and all employed and elected officials should be held to the same standard, not just when it's convenient for talking points. Maybe if Fate had a reputable publication, as maybe a future business, to furnish this information for dissemination, I would have provided it, but Fate doesn't have that. So thank you for listening.
All right, thank you so much, appreciate it. Next, please.
Sorry. Next is James Goodman III, address 1628 Raviello Road. Sorry, Ravioli Road. I don't know.
Ravioli Lane.
Sorry.
Welcome, and thank you.
That's okay. My name is James Goodman III. I live at 1628 Ravello Road. But now you make me want ravioli for dinner. No, so I'm just one of many active and concerned homeowners that live in Montera. And I know that the section on the agenda is for the closed meeting portion. So my question really is regarding section of the Texas Government Code, section 551.071, to the extent that you can give me an answer, which aspect of the closed meeting is it concerning? Is there pending litigation or active litigation involving Montera? Or is it regarding a possible conflict of interest regarding the attorney to the governmental body? So I'm just trying to understand information that's not privy to us. And if you can't give me an answer, that's fine.
Let me check real quick. Jennifer, you want to answer that question? Or try to?
I think the posting speaks for itself. We're able to go into executive session to give legal advice to the council, and so that's the reason we're in executive session.
Okay, so the only follow-up to that is if there were to be pending litigation involving the Montera development, whether that's the developers or anything that could potentially impact the homeowners, at some point the homeowners would be given some type of notification. It's not something that would just go throughout the full legal process and then after, whether a settlement or something has occurred,
Jimmy,
then
you wanna-
we're notified?
Yeah, you want to explain the process is once they file a lawsuit, that's public, right? So there's our part and then there's the filing of the lawsuit. So you want to walk through that real quick?
Right. So lawsuits are public.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you. There. Thank you so much. Next, please.
Next will be item 5, consent agenda.
Just real quick for the council. So 5C was going to be pulled off the consent agenda and moved to action items. And then 5F is being removed from the consent agenda at the request of the applicant. If that is okay with council, we can proceed that way. Seeing no objections, so you'll do 5C?
Yes.
Okay, are we ready to move on?
So consent agenda, yes.
Okay, any question about consent agenda? Seeing now, take a motion, please.
I make a motion, we pass the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes 7-0. Next, please.
Okay. So now we will move to, just to be clear, no action will be taken on agenda item 5F.
Correct.
And then, so we're going to move to agenda item 5C, consider approval of resolution number R 2025-017, approving a contract agreement with Randall Scott Architects for architectural services for the 2024 DPS Bond Building Projects.
Okay, Mr. Kelly?
Yeah, I'd requested this to be removed from the consent agenda and asked that action on it be delayed for a week. I appreciate the information that was provided in the packet and think it was a solid enough overview of the selected architect, but I would like to see more information on there are 18 companies that responded to the RFQ. So would like to see what some of the highlights were of some of those other applicants, just for purposes of transparency of this project, so the public is aware of the type of information we received and what drove and were some of the differentiating factors in the selection of this particular architect.
So, Michael, you want to respond to that?
Sure. So your intention is to table till next week so we can put more information
Table to next
in the
week.
packet?
I don't want to do
You don't
anything that's
wanna
going
do
to
it
slow
tonight?
down the process, but what I would ask is that just more detail on the other applicant, or the other
Like
responders.
the reasons why we picked the current, how the
Yes.
team worked and
So
some background information?
Historically, what you have done on contracts, you listed out all the bidders, and you listed out, I guess, the price of them, and then it shows which one we have picked. You've done that historically, so.
The, now, this is a bit different because it's a request for
RFQ, so it's a little
qualification,
different,
right? So
so-
it's not like an RFP, request for proposals or a sealed bid. So it's a little bit different process.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're willing, if you want to table, then we can put more information in the packet. Or we can try to answer your questions, depends what your intention is.
So will it delay the process by any?
By a week, probably.
Okay.
The only thing I would add, Michael, if I could too, is the request for qualifications, not getting bids. State law prohibits us from asking for pricing up front. We have to go through this RFQ process, find the one that we want to work with, and then negotiate a price. So we're not allowed to ask for pricing at the beginning of the process.
Okay, so the way, I know Public Works, you laid it out, contract. But you're saying we'll get a list of architects, but we're not going to get any pricing for it at all?
We only have pricing from the one that we chose to negotiate with per state law.
And that's fine.
That's okay. Yeah, make sure. All right. Come on. Steve, gotta come on. But nice try, by the way. It's really good.
So, as I mentioned, an RFQ is essentially, I like to relate it to like a job
RFI.
resume.
Yeah.
So it talks about their firm, where they're from, some of the jobs they've done. So it's really kind of flowery, just like a resume. So and that's what our process was, more of a interview process. So we did have some listed criteria. If you want me to go into that, or you want to wait?
I think a summary of it, just to be provided next week, would be great. I'm not necessarily, I'm not questioning the decision at all. All I'm looking for is what were those driving factors that pointed us towards this architect versus others. This particular contract's 10% of the bond cost.
Sure.
So it's a significant investment, and all I'm looking for is to be able to provide public information as far as what's driving us to this.
Gotcha. And we did. We established a grading criteria for all 18. So on those grading criteria were based on experience, project approach, and their references.
Okay.
And then our committee, furthermore, determined, qualification, where they specialized in police and fire safety, building, construction, and then their reputation, and if we had any dealings with them in the past. So that's what the criteria was based on, and it was graded at a percentage. The top 4 vote getters, or their top 4 criteria, is who we elected to interview. We interviewed 3. One was a standby in case we didn't like those 3. So, and that's kind of how that has. And yeah, we can provide that information, but essentially that's how it was selected. And then our committee reviewed those again, made the interviews and the selection.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I do have a question. Is that okay? Okay. Were you able to, I know we couldn't get the price or the bid up front, right? But of the 3, 4 that y'all chose, were they able to then submit, or you had to pick the best of the 4 and that was it?
Once you make your selection, then you can start negotiating on price. We know there's an average cost in the industry for architectural services, and at that point, you start the negotiations.
And that's state law that requires that? Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Steve, appreciate it. Any more questions? And now I'll take a motion to table, or ask her to postpone, don't table it, please. Go ahead.
Make a motion, we postpone the item until next week.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
All right, please vote. You didn't vote. Oh, motion passes 7-0. Next, please.
Next will be Agenda Item 6A, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action towards support for an emergency services district in Collin County, City of Fate, extraterritorial jurisdiction.
Michael, is this yours?
Yes, Chief and I worked together on this one. We received a letter from Collin County with a request to form an emergency service district, and the law requires them to notify us, and we can give them our blessing with this, or we can deny it. If we think if we deny it, then certain property owners could de-annex from the ETJ. They may still be able to form it. So we talked a little bit about the benefits. So an emergency service corporation, or emergency service district, we have one of these, or one that's, I guess we have a safety district. We learned today it's not actually an ESD in Rockwall County. Hunt County's got one as well. They've got a emergency service district. This would be essentially something that's formed by the county in the unincorporated area in Collin County. And we've got some ETJ up there, not a lot, just a little bit. But there's a lot of people moving to eastern Collin County. So they would form this district. It could charge a property tax, it could charge a sales tax, or it could charge both on different rates based on the incorporation process and the setting of the tax rate and citizen votes and so forth. But it would be a way to essentially pay for primarily fire services, maybe some EMS subsidies, the kinds of things, perhaps depending on the scope that they create, that the Collin County folks create that. They could do emergency management similar to what Rockwall County does. So that is a way, we think, to help support emergency response. That's going to be a continual kind of a drain for the cities. And you'll see some of the politics shaping up with McKinney and some of the other cities basically saying, hey, we're not going to go to the ETJ. We can't afford it. Like our taxpayers aren't going to pay for folks that aren't paying taxes. That's our biggest cost is public safety. So you're seeing kind of counties adapting, a lot of MUDs, a lot of PIDs going on in the county. Josephine, we talk about Josephine all the time, all around them, MUDs and so forth. And so this would be a way for primarily Royce City Fire Department does most of the response up there, where it's not really in the chiefs meet every year to talk about the fire response districts. We get some funds from the county, from Rockwall County, to offset our costs, or a portion of our costs. So this would not really be a lot of a burden to Fate right now. It'd probably be a bonus to probably Royce City Fire Department. They'd be able to get some funding to help support their emergency response into Collin. So Chief and I looked at it. We don't have any objections. We think it probably, there's some policy issues later on if we ever got annexation back. We wanted to have, let's say there's a really nice development up there that was fiscally productive and everyone's like, oh, we want to bring that into the City of Fate. Then we would have to go to the Emergency Service District or Collin County and ask them to give back the taxes. We'd have to figure out who's doing what, who's doing police, who's doing fire, What does it cost? Can we have some of the tax capacity back? Says we don't want our, if those were our citizens up there, we don't want to pay them double taxation. And we don't want to have confused emergency response. So we think in the long haul, that's highly unlikely that we'll have anything of that nature up there. Of course, it's always possible. And we can probably cross that bridge when we get there. But for the next few years, it would make sense to have some additional public safety support up in Collin County.
Any questions from the council?
Yes.
Alan?
About how many calls do we have in Collin County right now?
Gee, what would you, do you know?
I mean,
What
a
would you
dozen?
guess?
Very few?
Yeah.
Would being a part of this district increase our call volume because we're part of the district?
No.
Okay.
So currently, we don't have a county response district in Collin County. We stop at the county line. And so we're not even counted in that equation except for mutual aid, which is not refunded unless it went to the emergency management declaration. And so right now, Royce City runs all the calls, Royce City or Nevada runs all the calls north of our city limits.
It would benefit us in that, because we move and cover each other. So Rockwall's got a major problem, or even Garland. Rockwall sends forces to Garland, then we move up and cover Rockwall. Same thing with Royce City. If Royce City's running all over the place and they have an issue in Royce City, we're gonna go. So whatever funding that can help Royce City get the number of firefighters apparatus that they need to be able to handle that helps us kind of indirectly.
Yeah, I think
So this would be basically a little bit of a reimbursement for our mutual aid up there?
We don't really have much.
Okay.
No, this is not really for us. I mean, it could be someday if the fire chiefs ever redrew the districts and we were determined that we were the closest to a major, let's say there's a major housing development, and for some reason Royce City was farther, traffic or construction, whatever they may.
I think Michael made the best point is if you get a neighborhood up there, and currently as annexation is, if they request to come into the city, then that could be an option. And then that district could pay us to run those services or supplement some of those services.
If we had development in the ETJ, for example.
My question was, I just didn't want it to be an additional burden without getting paid for it.
And plus
It
the
would
other.
probably help be less of one, actually.
Okay.
Because that way they'd be better funded, better managed, and have the resources they need, and may not call us as much as they do, which is very seldom.
Great, thank you.
And also May and June, they're gonna reset the ETJ rules anyway, and we'll see in June if those pass or not, and we'll have the council will have to adopt the new ETJ rules, which will change everything from more likely. All right, any more questions for Chief? Thank you, Chief, appreciate it. All right, I'll take a motion, please.
I do have a question, just not for Chief. So, I remember back when I first got elected, we all met, not together, but separately. We met with John Stacy and we discussed the county funds that are dedicated for fire out in county properties, the ETJ. So my question is this in Collin County, is this something that John Stacy represents, or is this somewhere else?
It's in Collin County, somewhere
Okay.
else.
So who advocates for getting funds for fire in Collin County? I know, like
Michael would.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the answer to the question, we're not going to get any funds from them. Collin County is probably going to give it to them. Plus, I wouldn't do it until the ETJ rules are reset. We have a lot of bills to strip all the power away from the cities and the ETJs back into the county. And I would just wait until everything kind of gets settled and see what bills pass and does not pass. And then the council can figure out what to do next with
What's
this.
the estimated cost for this to the city?
Actually, I think it'd probably help us because right now, the way that we didn't include, I probably should have included a fire district map for you, but there's no Fate response by DPS for fire response into Collin County. The only reason we go up is mutual aid if it's a really big one, or if, let's say, Royce City deploys into Collin County, which that's part of their response area, then we would move to cover Royce City. So there's
Okay.
no.
That's why I was confused, because I
yeah,
couldn't
no,
figure
it's all
out
right.
where
Yeah.
Fate was responsible in
Right.
Collin County
We
at
stopped
all.
at the county lines,
Okay.
essentially, then, so Royce City Fire, all above, right up here, they take care of all that area, and so.
Cody, you good?
Yeah.
All right.
It'll mostly benefit Royce City Fire Department.
Let's try this again. I'll take a motion, please.
Make a motion that we support Emergency Service District in Collin County.
I have a second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from council? Seeing none, please vote. Motion passes 7-0. Next, please.
Next is Agenda Item 6B, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action to implement a general homestead exemption.
Michael, is that yours?
Actually, this item is Mr. Kelly's and Ms. Chin's. So we put together some information in your packet. I sent out an additional email this afternoon with some clarification and some checks. We double check some of our financial numbers because they looked a little bit high. So we wanted to make sure methodology was good. But yes, Mr. Kelly, it's your item.
Thanks. And I know we talked about this, most of us on the dais, at least once or twice last year. I think we're familiar with what the issue is, and it's been a year since I brought it up as an opportunity, so I wanted to bring it back up as an opportunity again. We've got limited tools in our toolbox to where we can provide actual tax help for our citizens and for all of our homeowners. And the main one we have is this homestead exemption. So I'm putting it out there again and hopeful that we can consider a 20% homestead exemption for our homeowners. This is an item that will offer about a 10% tax cut on the city rate to our average homestead property owner within the city. It's also something that, with the way the metrics work out, will raise the effective tax rate for our citizens. So it would have an adverse impact on non-homestead properties as well as our businesses. And an analysis of that I've done, the impact on small businesses is relatively negligible, and has a more significant impact on some of the larger businesses, especially the multifamily units within the city. Again, my goal is to provide some tax relief to our homestead property owners. When you look at the inventory of homes that we've got within the city, we've got either built, in process, or entitled. We've got right at 10,000 individual lots within the city that per comp plan right now, that's about the max that we're gonna have. Who knows how that's gonna play out with what's going on at the state, but we've got 10,000 entitled single-family residences today. Of those single-family residences, those 10,000 lots, just over 75% reside in a special assessment district. So outside of the city tax, the county tax, and school district taxes that homeowners throughout the whole county pay, 75% of the single-family residences in our city are paying mud taxes or PIT assessments. So the effective rates that our homeowners pay are significantly higher than what happens in the rest of the counties. So this is an opportunity to provide relief, and that's why I put it out there.
Any more questions, comments? If not, I'll take a motion, please. And we can have no discussion period.
Real quick comment. Looks like the average savings would be $74,000. I've had a hard time with the concerted nature of an entitlement program on the backs of others, and I would be in favor of repealing the senior exemption. That would not affect the current limits, correct? So if you're already limited,
right?
And like if the senior exemption gets changed, does that affect where the people are limited at?
Oh, if you're frozen, you mean? If you're already frozen?
Limited. We don't freeze. It'll go down. It'll never go up. So it's not a freeze.
Right, it will not go up.
It's a limit, correct?
Right.
Yes.
It's the senior tax limit. If you already have the $50,000 exemption currently, and the exemption goes away, but we institute the 20%, which would actually increase your exemption, so your tax limit would go down a little farther.
Teresa's making this thinking face.
I'm just asking how it all works.
So you eliminate, if you could, you'd eliminate the exemption, but then you'd
It'd be a double
swap it.
exemption.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of a double exemption.
It would be a double exemption, because
Yeah.
right now, the seniors have a $50,000 exemption on top of the freeze, right? So if you put in another 20%, they're gonna get another 20% in addition to the 50 that they already have.
Right, but I don't know if you're frozen, if it matters, like you can't pay more.
Well, it has to do, it's got nothing to do with the freeze.
It'll go
so
down, so it'll go down.
It'll go down, it won't
It'll
go
go
up.
down more.
So they'll get a bigger discount.
It's going to go down further, plus what the state's already proposing, so. All right. Anything else?
So I would support a 20% exemption only if we repealed the senior exemption, not the limit, because that's already.
I get it.
I
Okay.
don't know, there's some, in the bill that was passed last year, the law, there's some limits on what you can do with the exemption, that like in the timing. I think it's we'll have to check. and see.
Okay, well, let's have a vote tonight. You can check, and then we have to come.
I think it was 3 years.
Finish discussing it before we have a vote.
Okay.
Well, I mean, can we, what does the state law mean?
Yeah, that's a good, I don't know if anyone's ever done that before, so.
What, a
I'm not
20%
sure.
exemption?
I don't know if there's anyone who's gotten rid of a senior exemption and then instituted a general homestead. I'm sure it's been done, but we just don't know.
It's definitely been moved
not seen
around
it.
because we did it a couple of years ago, so it's moved.
Yeah, we've moved it for sure, yeah. We should be able, in theory, we should be able to move it to whatever that number you would want it to be.
But wasn't what was voted on in 2 Novembers ago stating you could not remove a homestead exemption for 3 years?
You can't remove the actual tax-free or the limit. You can change the homestead exemption.
I think it says something about the homestead exemption. No, the
All right,
freeze
then,
can't.
I'll tell you what I'll do, then I'll make a motion that we table this until another date, until we get that information regarding state law.
Yeah, the freeze can't be undone
Unless-
without another
No,
ballot.
not the freeze.
Hey, just a second real quick.
I'm talking about just the 65 and older,
Exemption, right.
$50,000 exemption
Okay.
that we passed.
Just a second, please. You have a motion, right? Or not? Or you want to discuss some more?
Well, that's my question. If we don't have all the information, I'm not
understand your-
comfortable voting on anything, up or
Okay,
down.
Can you just make sure we understand, that staff understands
Yes,
your
make a
question?
motion that we table this until we get more information regarding state law and the exemption process.
Okay. I got a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Now discussion. Michael, do you understand what the request is?
Yes, we're
Sorry.
going to examine both the
You have
metrics,
to postpone it,
the
please.
financial metrics and
Please,
the law
Mark, just a
to
second.
see if you could drop the senior exemption and implement the general homestead, and then we'll look at the impacts on the different taxpayers.
So my question is, if we find out that state law permits removing the homestead exemption for 65 and up, don't we still have to vote on those two things separately? They're two completely different agenda items, and
they'll
they're
be
not
different.
Right.
lumped together.
There'll
No,
be
I
different
So
ordinances.
I hear what you're saying, Alan, but I don't know how in practice we could do
Well,
that,
I-
one
if-
without the other.
If we were going to vote on it tonight because we had all the information, I would amend the motion on the table to repeal the $50,000 senior exemption.
And I don't think you're able to
Should the-
do that, is that right, Jennifer?
You could direct us to prepare ordinances, but
Yeah,
you
I
have to
was
vote
gonna
on
say, let's
separate
do
ordinances.
Are you proposing we remove the disabled, the
Let's-
50,000 disabled as well?
Let's do this. Mark, let's do this. Staff understands, we're going to direct staff to do it. They're going to come back with one or two ordinances and answer the question by state law. So the next meeting, the 14th, we're going to have the answers to those questions.
But I'm asking if he's asking to remove the 50 for the disabled as well.
That was a discussion I was going to have as well, because they're two separate items. I just didn't get there yet.
All right.
Until we get more information, there's really no point in going down this
I-
rabbit hole until we have more
I'm with you.
information, so.
I just want to make sure staff has all the questions they need answered, make sure we have all the information we need next meeting. That's what I'm trying to get to
Yeah,
right now.
and we
so.
won't bring any ordinances, we'll just bring
Okay.
information.
So I think there's three questions, if I've heard three questions, right? One is the 20%, got it. One is the senior survivor owner exemption of 50,000, what's the impact on that? And I think Mark brought up this disabled one, correct?
I'm asking if he's bringing it up.
No, well, we're going to stick it on the list of things to investigate. I'm
Well,
going to do that.
I think this council should be more informed as to how the state law impacts these exemptions across the board
Okay,
going
so
forward.
there's three, you get the over 65, the disabled, and the 20%. Got it?
And what the impact is going to be.
And the impact, I'm sorry, the three things and the impact. And Jennifer, you have to come back with a legal opinion on what state law says, or somebody does. Got it?
Sure. We'll see, yeah, we'll see what's possible.
Okay, and then we're going to postpone this, Alan, to the 14th meeting.
Well, I have one more question. What are you proposing if we take the 50,000 away? Are you talking about taking the whole 50,000 away or just reverting back to the 25,000?
Well, the 20% would give the seniors a larger exemption than the 50 currently does, on average. $74,000 compared to 50. So it's just a double exemption on spreading.
So yes, you would be taking away
Correct.
the 25,000 as well. It would go down to zero.
Yeah, it would go back down to zero, as long as the 20% passes.
Okay, I just wanted to understand.
I think we got to just get the facts. Okay, so Michael, you got all the questions?
Oh, with all the different things, so the 14th is actually going to be a very big meeting. We just have another item that went to the 14th.
I have a question.
And we need probably some more time to dive through this.
When
to
do
make
you
sure
need
it's
it by,
right.
Michael?
Let's see, we're going to do it in May?
It has to be before July 1st, right?
Had to be
Yes,
July
yeah.
1st.
So there's a meeting in May. This is where it starts to get awkward because
Right.
it'll be the meeting in May, the first council meeting in May. You have the election on Saturday, and you have the old council or this council on Monday. It's kind of the holdover meeting. So as long as you're comfortable doing big policy stuff on that meeting. And then you've got the budget workshop the next week.
Okay, so when's
And then
the
you've got a
holdover
regular
meeting?
meeting.
When's a holdover meeting? When is that?
First meeting the first Monday, May 5th?
The 5th?
May 5th?
May 5th is the first meeting in May, Cinco de Mayo.
Can we have margaritas while we recess this?
There's an ordinance that prohibits
you okay
alcohol at
with
City Hall.
May
I
5th?
really, honestly,
Yeah, I'm
I
fine with
I
discussing
think
it.
that
Just
it would
one at a
be.
time, please.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were
Go
talking.
No, yeah, just postpone to when council.
May 5th.
May 5th's fine.
Okay, Cody,
Yeah,
sorry.
the motion as stated was just motion to table until another date, so it wasn't a date
Okay.
certain. So we're
Can you
good.
amend the motion to postpone it to May 5th?
I was going to say, I thought it would be appropriate, no offense to the people that are about to not be here anymore, but I thought it would be appropriate to maybe make that voted on when we get a new council.
Well, let's go through the motion first.
Sure.
and then that way we can decide, or you can vote against what we
So
want to do, so.
the May 5th would just be getting the information back, then we would instruct an ordinance to come back, and then the new council would get to
Sally,
vote
can
on
you-
the new ordinance, I guess.
Can you
correct?
amend the motion, please, for me?
I'll amend the motion to postpone until May 5th.
Thank you. Lance, you second that?
Yes.
He says, like, what am I going to do now? I'm thinking like, well, thank you, Lance. All right, we have a motion and a second. We're going to postpone it until May 5th and for direction and not an ordinance. So please vote. I'm okay with that, I guess. The motion passes 5-2 with Councilwoman Chen and Councilman Kelly voting no. Next, please.
Next is Agenda Item 7, Mayor, Council, and City Manager reports.
All right, who wants to start? Mr. Hadley, you can start today.
I'd like to thank the city staff for everything that they do. Thank Matt for a great presentation, a very optimistic look on economic development. I'd like to thank the DPS for everything you guys do each and every day, keeping us safe. No news is good news in that case. So there's a lot of work that goes behind that. And haven't said it in a while. I'm going to say it again. Safe cities are not an accident. They're very, very hard work and dedicated people. And I want to say thank you.
Mr. Lance.
Thank you to city staff for everything that you guys continue to do. Without you, the city don't run.
Alan.
Yes, thank you, city staff, for everything you do. Shelby, thank you for your presentation. Matt, thank you for yours and your constant work on our behalf for the economic development. Thank you to DPS, and appreciate everybody being here tonight.
Scott.
So on top of the obligatory thank yous to staff, I want to give a special shout out to Scott and his team for the extra work they had to put in over the storms, with the storms and all the issues that came up as a result of that. So a lot of people did a lot of work overtime after hours on that. So thanks for that. And then that's in addition to DPS planning, facilities team. Matt, great presentation on the economic development stuff, good stuff, so thank you.
Cody?
Just wanted to say we have an election coming up. Early voting starts, I believe, April 22nd. And we have another candidate forum, not me as in we, but there is another candidate forum coming up on Thursday, I believe at Life Springs Church. So if y'all have not gotten a chance to hear directly from your candidates, please show up to that. There's been 2 already, and I know that they've been live streamed. So if you're looking for information about the candidates, reach out to me if you want, and I can send you the links to those forums that we've already had, and then also tune into the one that's coming up.
Mark Harper.
All right. I just want to say thanks, Matt, for the presentation. Outstanding. Shelby, great job on the website. Looks really good compared to what we had. And also another congratulations to Javier Gonzalez for his certification. If he keeps going, he's going to be running the city of Fate before long. So.
As he probably will, as he probably should, by the way.
And thanks to all the city staff for everything you do, all those, DPS, parks, streets, all those people. Thanks.
All those people. Matt, thank you. Great job on the presentation. I think clarity on the process will dispel some rumors out there. I think it's really good. Shelby, thank you so much for the new website. I appreciate it, especially on the rapid feedback, and you implemented it really quickly. That's really appreciated. Michael and Scott and the staff, Fate DPS, thank you for the great job over the weekend. On the storm, it was a great response, and even with Mark Tower going down a little bit of time, we've done a good job of keeping it up and running, so that's really great. And as always, the city staff does a really great job for the city, and I really appreciate that. Michael, you're next.
Yes, I just wanted to, this is not in my notes, but Mayor Billings has been doing a lot of work at the legislature, and we communicate a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on, so I wanted to say thank you for his work down there. And not a lot of people do that because it takes a lot of time, and sometimes it just doesn't seem to matter, but I think it does in little ways. And so anyway, just wanted to say thank you to him for doing a lot of that. There is a special/regular council meeting next week, so we're off our normal rhythm just due to the election. We'll have early voting and different things going on, so there is a council meeting next week on the 14th. So
all right.
We'll see you next week.
Ms. Vicki, next.
Next is Agenda Item 8, Executive Session. In accordance with Texas Government Code, Section 551.001, the City Council will recess into executive session closed meeting to discuss the following. A, in accordance with Texas Government Code, Section 551.087, to discuss or deliberate regarding economic development negotiations, 1, Project Cactus. B, in accordance with Texas Government Code, Section 551.072, to deliberate regarding real property, 1, to consider the purchase of Blackland Water Supply Corporation property located on North Benpain Road. And C, in accordance with Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney regarding Montera development.
All right, I'll take it into executive session at 7:33. Thank you.